And I'm back and I'm talking about starting Cocos3d and lighting, and today I'm talking about the direction plus, I've called it light. It's when you come to this part and you put in your light into your scene and it says is directional only, and the answer is no, which means that it's more than directional only. It's a kind of a fancy light and it can do some extra stuff. So the scene is pretty much the same as it was before. I've just moved the member variables into the implementation side so we can do them all on the one screen. And I've set up basic ambient light. I've got an incremental thing I'm going to be using later. Now the lamp is in the usual position 2, 3 and 5. It's added. I'll talk about this shortly. We get the res node from the lights pod and it's all as before. I just set ambient colors of light grey on the cube. The background is white, that ground ambient color is white, but I've stuck a texture on it now, the grass texture as well. We still have those little spheres, the origin and the bulb, and that's pretty much it to start off. And when we open up the scene, I've made sure the lamp is on, the camera is pointing to the middle, sort of slightly above, and the text box is going to rotate. And that's about it. So I'll run the scene now and you'll see. Okay, and here I am. The menu is opened and now we're going for, I've called it the direction plus light scene, just to indicate that is the fancier lights. Okay, so we click that and you'll see we have the scene as it was, but now the light, which is in the same position, is giving spectrals from this position. So you can see on the smaller origin, the spectral is pointing to the light, and on the red sphere, the spectral is pointing to the light. And you can see that on the cube as it's coming around, it's getting the lighting on the front faces as they come around, and you've got the ambience to the back. Now I'm going to run the same action, which will bring it right out to, I think I set it at a couple of hundred, but it's all on the same angle to the origin. And we'll see how that affects things. I think it just takes a few seconds. You can see it's way out now, and the specular has moved on both of them, and there's a bit of darkness after coming in and inside the container. And now as it moves in to the origin, you can see that the specular is coming around following the light, and it's much more a spot sort of effect in it. And you can see that it's shining on the face of the cube there, and it's shining on the face of the sphere, and also on the backlight. The inside of the cube is a little bit not in balance lighting wise, and that's something you could fix using better ambient lighting on the cube. Okay, so what can we do with an ambient light that you can't do with a directional plus light that you can't do with a directional only light? The first thing, and I alluded to it up here, is you can change the intensity of it somewhat, and just going to show you initially. This is from the Cocos3d setup, and it's attenuation coefficients. This is the standard value of it, 100, and you can set the lamp attenuation property using one that you define yourself. So I haven't messed around too much with the second two, but I know that when you change this first one, I'm going to set it now to 0. Let's say 7, and if we run the scene again, you should see that we've got a much brighter light. You can see that the specular is much bigger, and both of them is really taken over there. The back is quite bright, and that's because we're actually turning down the attenuation. We're not attenuating as much. If I bring it down to something like 0.3, you'll see that it's extremely bright light. Plus, you'll see a huge specular. The whole thing is much brighter, and there's much less attenuation on the lamp itself. Okay. Now what you can do is I'll set that back to 1 as the initial figure, and I'm going to run a little control action on it. That'll just bring up the attenuation on the lamp, and you'll see that you can have a kind of a dimmer effect by every click. I'm just going to increment attenuation by 0.05, and the it's starting off at 1. I shall go up there and start off, no, I'll leave it at 1, 1 is fine. And we're going to log the value down here. So if we run it now, and I use the control button action on it, direct plus light, you watch it now, and it's going to slowly, every time, we put more and more attenuation on the lamp. Let's just see what it says in the, we're down at 5.5 now, and you can keep going up to 10, and eventually you just get down to a point where there is no light coming from it, and all you're getting is the ambient lighting that you set up originally. Okay, so if you go back, you can see that effect there again if you go down. Okay, so that's how you kind of put a dimmer light on the whole thing. Alright, so that's something you can do. The next thing I want to show you is if we move the lamp right into the center now. The lamp location at the moment is 2, 3, and 5, but I'm going to change that and put it right at the center. And I'll just run it again and show you what it looks like. Plus light. So we're at the center, and you can see that there's brightness back to the back of the light, and what I'm going to do now is put a kind of a filtering effect, a cone effect on the light using the cutoff angle, and we'll get a kind of a beam, and I'll show you that the light forward direction is actually to the back of the box there. When these lights are added in, their normal direction, their default direction is to the back, whereas everything else default direction is to the front. Which makes sense because lights are supposed to shine up in light you're seeing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the lamp is in the right position. This is, if I just show you that one there, see that that's the normal forward direction of the light, 0, 0, minus 1, and you can set that property there. But if I set, I have to do a few things here now to make this work. I'll just show you what that will look like. It's a spot exponent of 64 and a cutoff angle of 20, which means we're cutting down the shine of the light directionally to 20 degrees. Now at the moment you can't see a whole lot. I need to brighten up the light a bit, so I'll go down here and put that to 0.3 or something like that. See if it will give us anything. I think we need to rotate it actually, because one of the problems is there probably aren't enough there aren't enough vertices on the back object. So what I've done is I went to Blender, took the same lights pod, and I selected the container box, and I've just gone W and subdivide, and I've cut it, put a load of subdivisions on it, so there's more mesh data for the light to work with. And I've exported that as lights pod 2. And if I go into this now and go lights pod 2 and run it again, I'm hoping I'm going to see something at the back of the wall. And there you go. Now you can see that we're starting to get the shine directed towards the back, and that's the default positioning of the light, or the default targeting of the light. And you can see that because we got more data on the object, you're starting to get more definition in the light. Okay. One thing I might want to do is just make it point up a little bit. So I'm going to change my lamp forward direction to 0.2 and -1, so now it should point up to the back wall of the container box. And the other thing I'm going to do is activate an action on it, and all the action is going to do is rotate the lamp so that you should be able to see it. Swirling around inside the meat box. There we go, control button action, and there you go. You can see it going along the wall, shining up on the cube. It should come across there, and you have it on the sphere, and back around again on the back wall. So there you go. And with that, I think I've covered all I want to cover. You can do all of the other things that you could do with the directional only light, messing around with this diffuse color and specular color and ambient color, and that's about it for the moment. I think to make our scenes more real, what I might do is just go up here and set the ambient light a bit bigger. And when we go to work on this in the next tutorial, I'll start doing shadowing, and hopefully that will make things look more realistic. Okay, but that's it for now. Mess around with those lights, do all sorts of fiddling with them, and see what you can come up with. Thanks a lot.